Really quick before this video starts, I just made a Discord server for the community here. We have LFG for all platforms, voice, chats, meme chats, and music channels. Please consider stopping by. Link is in the video description below. Thank you and enjoy! As a content creator, I have talked extensively about how the Division community is in need of information and content as soon as possible. People sometimes underestimate the effect of having a due date or something to look forward to when it comes to situations like where we find ourselves right now. It may seem like a small thing, but people can mark their calendars and say, hey, 1 month until the Division Heartland comes out. I'm super excited for this. Because at the end of the day, Ubisoft and Massive and Red Storm and any other media producing firm are selling experiences. This type of expectation is exactly what creates the hype for video games, movies, YouTube videos, etc. It's much more than games. The game or the media outlet is the product, but what the developers are really selling you is the way you feel when you play their games. That's a little bit more of an existential take than what I care to really put into a YouTube video, but it's true. The Division universe banks on the satisfying gameplay loops, interesting and recognizable environments such as New York City and Washington, D.C. The reason Warlords of New York did so well is because it had familiar feels to the Division 1, especially setting-wise. The Division 2 was having a little bit of a rough go at it even before the release of Warlords of New York, particularly when it comes to the endgame. The Division 2 was not even supposed to have a Year 3, but here we are in Year 4. That's because Warlords of New York did a lot of work to the game, making the game experience better for the player base and more in line with the expectations of what a Division game is supposed to be like. And in particular, included in the Warlords expansion is the return to New York City. I don't think it's much of a stretch to say that a return to New York City played a major role in the success of the expansion. In fact, there is so much history wrapped up in the New York City area that it may be difficult for the Division franchise to really even get away from New York City. The city is one of the most iconic locations, not because it's just the epicenter of the virus outbreak in the game's story, but it is the origin story of the franchise. In my most viewed video ever, a video I made when I had just over 100 subscribers, I made the argument that there was more of a story to tell in New York, particularly in Manhattan. Not only Manhattan, but Midtown Manhattan, the site of the Division 1, the area where the events of the first game unfolded. The subject matter of the video is only important for the fact that it was about Manhattan and the potential return to that particular location. The community had such an intense nostalgia for the snow-covered streets, the large central dark zone in Manhattan, and the high-rises of New York City that it was enough of a draw for 25,000 people to click on a video made by a no-name YouTuber with 110 subscribers and hear what that person had to say for almost 9 minutes. And not only that, but 9 minutes of just me rambling. Like, that wasn't even a good video. Anyways, that's besides the point. That might be a bad take. It might be. It also just might suggest what the Division community really wants from a Division game, and I think that Massive and Ubisoft are acutely aware of that. If that example regarding my own experience with Manhattan and the potential draw to New York City isn't enough to convince you of the importance of Manhattan in the Division, then let the rest of the community tell you. Look in the comment section of any of the old trailers of the Division 1 or any old Marco style or Woods video and just count how many comments there are of people talking about the atmosphere of New York City, the dark zone, the menus, the UI, the soundtrack, the trailers, all of it. This is the endgame for the franchise, and the New York City area is at the epicenter of it. In the present time, however, the outlook for the game is still pretty bleak. There's been 13 or so long months of waiting, 13 long months with no significant update to the Division 2, 13 long months with promises of more content, new games, movies, books, but nothing really substantial other than leaks and delays. Why are we still here? We are still here because the Division and the Division 2 and all of it offers something as gamers that no other game provides. Like I mentioned earlier, playing the Division is an experience, and it's something that is so unique to this game. There's other MMOs out there, there's other RPGs, there's other games. The gaming industry is wide, and there's a lot that anyone can choose from, yet people still choose to play the Division and the Division 2. Why? It's because of the feeling you get when you play it. And to that end, New York City is at the very center of that. I did a video last week about the effect of the delays and the speculation on the new content on the community, and if you haven't seen it, please consider checking it out. In that video, I discussed how the community reacts to leaks and new updates to the game in an excited manner, analyzing every single news source and speculating on every single cryptic tweet and out of context screenshot. In particular, I guess the TLDR of that video basically was that we as a community need to be informed about our favorite game franchise. That much is clear. The effect of leaks, delays, and the lack of communication has a negative impact on the community and on the general mood and disposition of everyone involved with the Division franchise. We've just been in a dormant state. Last week, many of the Division content creators made videos discussing the screenshots of the Division Heartland main menu and a screenshot of how the developers plan to space out content in the game experience to maximize player interaction with the game. These leaks and small bits of information are so minimal in the grand scheme of things, but the Division community is so starved that it does not matter how much or how little the information is, it's going to be ripped apart. Guys, I promise this is going somewhere too. Considering these tweets from Morten Ryberg and Pally Hofstein, this is the perfect example of what I'm talking about, but from a developer's perspective. Morten Ryberg states that it's a weird situation when any small bit of info generates a ton of discussion, but it is more of a commentary on the state of the community than anything else. This is a developer's perspective about the lack of public information and the effect that this has had on the community. At the bottom of all of this, there's a desire for the Division franchise to get the love that it deserves. Everyone says that the Division universe will be great, it just needs time. That much is so true. The Division will be a special franchise, even more so than it already is. Even more so than it already is in our minds. More people will start to realize. So good that it even has a movie coming out that's being directed by Ross and Marshall Thurber and going to be released on Netflix, featuring high-profile actors such as Jake Gyllenhaal and Jessica Chastain, set in none other than the city of New York. I don't know about you guys, but I think I've been noticing a little bit of a trend when it comes to future releases of the Division content and the setting of New York. Yes, of course, I'm referring to all the books that are coming out set in New York, Warlords of New York, the movie, and in my firm prediction, the new content coming to the Division 2. Obviously, that's not confirmed, but that's my informed guess, kind of, based on the evidence I've provided so far. We've been told month after month that we have a lot to look forward to when it comes to the Division, but as of yet, nothing has really materialized. This is where Manhattan comes in. Massive needs to get this content right, and it needs to do it by looking at the successes of the Division 1. Manhattan may not be the setting of the Division 2's next update, but what made Manhattan great surely will be. Whether it's snowy streets, a cohesive dark zone, familiar feeling mechanics, or something as drastic as even going back to Midtown, Massive has exactly what it needs in the palm of its hands. They just need to look. That was a pretty tough line, I'm not gonna lie. This would have been a great way to end the video, but of course, I gotta do YouTuber stuff like say goodbye and stuff and whatnot. Anyways, thank you all so much for everyone who stuck around to the end of the video. You guys are the real ones. Don't forget to check out my Discord. The link will be in the description below. Let me know what you guys thought of the video. I welcome all types of feedback and discussion and comments, and I would love to hear your thoughts on the video and what the information I presented. Be sure to like and subscribe if you found this informative or enjoyable, and as always, have a good day. Deltah out. Peace.